Okay.
This is fucking dark.
It is fucking dark, but it is really important. So.
Yes. So, we've already talked about the Maui fires in terms of the causes, colonialism and capitalism and the like. But there's new reporting actually from the Associated Press that not only did residents of Lahaina, which is a town in the upper the upper island, I guess it's called, or it's all part of the same island, but it's the upper part, the northwestern part. Lahaina is in the northwestern part of Maui. And so there's new evidence, an AP report that says that the residents of Lahaina had no warning as to the extreme fires and no way out, as officials blocked the only exit, and only those who basically said, fuck your blockade, survived.
Which also is a good example of why you should never listen to anything that authority figures say.
So the first line here says, as flames tore through a West Maui neighborhood, car after car of fleeing residents headed for the only paved road out of town in a desperate race for safety, and car after car was turned back toward the rapidly spreading wildfire by a barricade blocking access to Highway 30.
This was the only fucking road.
Yeah. And so basically the play-by-play here is that on August 8th, as early as 6:30 a.m., some residents were saying that they were downed power lines. Thank you. That there were downed power lines that were igniting grass and other vegetation. So small brush fires not being uncommon in the area. Obviously, the fire department responded, but declared certain ones 100% contained by later in the morning, like around 10 a.m. So this assurance from the fire department caused many residents, understandably, to be like, all right, we're good. There were very high winds in the area that day, and that prompted the closure of some public schools for the day, meaning that many of Lahaina's 3,000 public school students were home alone while their parents were at work.
Yeah.
And that's also an important thing to note, because many of the people who summarily died because they couldn't get out were children. So at the same time, Maui County's fire crews worked to extinguish another fire on the eastern half of the island. Remember, we're talking about the northwestern part of the island. At the same time, the wind continued to topple over power poles and scattered embers, quote, like seeds. And with the assumed effects of spreading the fires. So at around 3 p.m., the power across the area was completely knocked out, and the Hawaiian Electric sent a release asking Maui residents to prepare for extended outages, and said that more than 30 poles were down in West Maui, including along the highway at the south end of Lahaina. Then the fire department closed the Lahaina bypass because of the fire, and those closures blocked the only route out of Lahaina to the south. And so there are some residents that are describing how they're trying to scramble to get out now that it is a proper fucking disaster emergency, which, again, they were not warned about. And this one man, Mike Chiquino, says to his left, he sees two police cars blocking the road, one across the lane of traffic and another one just starting to pull away. He ignores the roadblock and drives around the police cars to head south. And he says, I remember thinking that there's something dangerous ahead, but then I saw other cars driving, so I just went that way too. And a good thing, because he might be fucking dead if he didn't.
Right.
And so the police were blocking roads, the exit roads out, he said. And I'm assuming it's because there's been some downed power lines or something. And then the police chief later commented that We did not close or forbid people from getting out. If there was a downed power line, we wanted to make sure that you didn't go over it. Well, then put up a fucking sign.
Yeah.
You don't just block the road, making people think that they can't get out that fucking way. If you see police cars blocking a road, your initial reaction isn't fuck them. Your initial reaction is probably, I mean, it might be, that would probably be mine, but like, it would probably be, oh, I guess they're blocking something because it's dangerous,
Because
just like that guy said.
You can't get through, yeah.
And so why would people assume to just go around a fucking police car?
Well, and so this is kind of like everything wrong. This is incompetence. This is authority figures making stupid decisions. This is stupid decisions in a variety of ways, choosing not to sound the alarm because that might scare people in the wrong way. It's normally meant for tsunamis. We can't use it for fires. It's just poor decision making, like all the way through. But then on top of that, of course, you have the underlying, basis of these ongoing catastrophes, which is climate crisis and these emergencies that areas are not prepared for. And then you have the resulting aftermath of the shock doctrine, where all the rich, whether it be real estate firms or whatever else, go running in to try and exploit the situation. This has all of the worst of everything of our system.
So as this continues, this is so fucked. So this one family at 3:40 p.m., their 9 and 10-year-old sons who are home from school say they can smell s'mores. And by the time that they look outside, part of their subdivision is already on fire. No fucking warning. They obviously rush to get in their car and start driving away. And they find that the way out of town is blocked by cones and a crew working on downed electrical poles, and the workers motion for everyone to turn back toward Lahaina, which is on fucking fire. So you've got cops blocking roads, you've got workers working on downed power lines, which I mean, no, I'm not trying to talk shit about the workers, but you're working on downed power lines in the middle of a wildfire, like maybe escape. I don't know. So those people tell those crews tell the residents to turn back to your houses that are now on fire. And these people telling the Associated Press about this said that they found little meandering ways to get out and do it that way. But they noticed that there was a hell of a gridlock to get out of town. So they had to go, some people have like all-wheel drive vehicles and things like that. So they're driving up on fucking mountain roads and shit like that. And one woman says, the gridlock would have left us there when the firestorm came. I would have had to tell my children to jump into the ocean as well and be boiled alive by the flames, or we would have just died from smoke inhalation and roasted sitting in the car. So at 5:20, Maui County shares an update on Facebook. We don't need to do that story.
I'm not doing it.
Shares an update on Facebook. I just want to reiterate that because most of the time in emergency situations, I don't check Facebook. I'm not typically scrolling through.
I'm usually surfing Instagram when the shit goes down.
They say then, by that point, the Maui County says, oh, the road south out of Lahaina has been cleared and is open for traffic, the county says. But by then, as the Associated Press reports, some have already died, according to survivor accounts. Others, including this one person that they've interviewed, have jumped over the sea debris and breathing overheated black smoke. And this is where I mean, this whole thing is just a private ambulance company. Now, remember, you're on a fucking island, okay? You're on an island. Let's keep that in mind.
Just the term private ambulance company.
A private ambulance company calls the U.S. Coast Guard at about 5:45 p.m. asking for help because the fire is blocking road access. It is the Coast Guard's first notification of the fire at 5:45 p.m. when the first report of a fire came at 6:30 a.m. The Coast Guard was not made aware of this until they were made aware by a private ambulance company, not government officials.
About 12 hours later.
And then the Coast Guard goes on. Again, they were asked to help transport people on land by this private ambulance company. Then the Coast Guard notices, holy shit, there's a lot of people treading water in the ocean that look like they could use some help. I wonder why no officials let us know. They rescued nearly 40 people from the shore and pull 17 people from the water. And the rescue efforts continue into the early morning hours. And again, they were never contacted by the government to be like, hey, you guys do like rescue and shit. There's a lot of people that could use that right now.
There's like loads of people in the water. Could you help with that?
So this one guy who says that his kid can now rattle off, which is horrifying. His kid can now rattle off a bunch of friends that have died. And he points out we just needed like 10 minutes and we could have saved a lot of kids.
Okay. Well, I'll keep going here with I mean, in a moment we'll move on to another story, but yeah, like I was saying, this is just an amazing amount of negligence, but on top of that, and incompetence, but on top of that, it's like this is what climate crisis looks like, and we need to get better as communities of prepping for this kind of shit. Now, that's not going to solve everything. So those people who say, "Oh, well, if we just get better at dealing with fires, then climate crisis is fine." It's like, no, it's not going to solve everything, but it will certainly help save a lot of lives if societies and cities and states are prepped for all of these things that could happen. They had apparently known of the fire risk in this area for multiple years. They knew of the drought situation. They knew, now maybe they didn't know it would go up at quite that speed or whatever, but they knew this was something they should prep for, and they didn't do it. And this is a lot of areas that need to start prepping for things like fires and hurricanes and stuff like that. I'm sorry. It is a rough story.
You know what? Funny in a dark way. Once you have a kid, you cannot read a story about kids being harmed without losing your goddamn mind. Like, I can't even watch like a trailer for a movie that has to do with I fucking can't. And when earlier before I had a kid, I'd be like, sure, I'll watch this movie about a kid being abducted. I can't.
Yeah.
And this shit makes me so fucking angry. I want to beat every official who didn't fucking do anything. I want to beat them to death with this pen.